Hello diamond painting friends, Jessica here with Tiny Worlds of Wonder. Today I'm stopping in to share one of the most requested videos on my channel over the last few months, and that is how to do reverse image searches to make sure that the canvas you would like to order to diamond paint is not copyright infringing. Now, I apologize that this one took me a few months to get to, but I really wanted to do a lot of research and preparation for this because I wanted to be sure that the information I give you about copyright is really accurate and really useful for you. So I really appreciate how many of you have reached out to me recently to let me know that this topic is really important to you and that you're trying to be really careful consumers. When I posted that copyright video months and months ago talking about my copyright strike, that was really what I hoped would come out of it. Not that it would come across as me being judgmental or being harsh, but just that I could hopefully share my experience and help other people find out what was difficult for me to find out and what I had to find out the hard way. So a quick disclaimer before we jump into this today. I'm not a lawyer, and the information that I give you here is for general information only. It's not intended to be legal advice. And I'm going to show you some image examples here, but I am not intending to draw any conclusions about what we're researching today. So I really encourage you, if you have specific questions, to consult a copyright attorney and to do your own research, because I think there's no better way to learn about this than to do some of your own research. So first I want to run through some copyright basics here. We're going to get to the practical application in a minute, but please bear with me first. So I just want to go through really quick what copyright is and what rights it actually affords to artists. So what is copyright? Copyright is basically a principle that allows the author of a creative work the sole legal right to make money on that work for a period of time. Now, this period of time varies between countries, but here in the US where I live, the current term of copyright is 70 years after the death of the author, or if you've created a work for hire, it's 95 years from the date of publication, or 120 years from the date of creation, whichever comes first. Now, of course, copyright laws change all the time, so you always want to look into that yourself. You can usually just Google, what is the copyright term in X country, and you can find pretty good information that way. As always, if you have specific questions, consult a real copyright attorney. Now, copyright in the simplest sense means exactly what it says: the right to copy an image or a creative work. So if you create a work of art, this protection attaches to your work the moment you create that piece, and you don't have to register anything for this protection to attach. So copyright laws give you 6 specific rights related to your work: the right to copy, the right to distribute, the right to create derivative works, which just means to transform that work you've already created and adapt it into something new, the right to display the work publicly, that includes over social media like YouTube, the right to perform in the case of, like, say, a musical or a piece of music, and the right to digitally transmit a sound recording if we're talking about a musical work. So you can decide to grant some of those rights to someone else. That's called the license. Copyright law is very complicated. That's one thing that I've learned over the last few months doing some research on this. And it's extremely complicated when you get into the realm of very old works. But I found an amazing resource that I'll link in the description below. The Cornell University Library has created an incredible resource for determining the copyright status of a work based on the date of its creation. And they also have a printable guide there on that website. So like I said, I'll link that in the description below. But one rule of thumb that I use is that art that's more than 100 years old, created before about 1925 or so, is most often safe to use. There are some circumstances where an artist's estate can renew a copyright, and so that's a little more complicated. But as a general rule, if a work is 100 years old, you're probably safe, okay? But like I said, do your own research. It's important, and it's not so hard, as I'm going to show you here in a minute. One of the comments I hear the very most often on videos where I discuss any kind of copyright topic is, why should we expect other countries to follow our copyright laws? And the answer is, we don't. We expect our own citizens to follow copyright laws because you're preserving an artist's sole right to profit off of their creative work by not ordering that work from an unlicensed third party. So how do we know if a canvas we'd like to purchase has copyright issues? I'm going to show you today. One great way is to do a reverse image search. I like Google Images, and that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So let me pull up my computer. I'm going to walk you through all the steps that I would use when I'm looking at an image on a site like AliExpress. I'll be right back. Okay, here we are on Google Images, which is my favorite tool for reverse image searching. The reason I like this one more than TinEye is that it tends to bring up artist names much faster for me. So I did a little preview this morning and looked at a couple of canvases on AliExpress that I thought were really gorgeous, that if I were shopping here, I might be interested in finding more out about. So what I'm going to start by doing is taking my snipping tool. Usually you can just search if you're on Windows at least, search in your functions to find your snipping tool, which is built in to your computer usually. So I'm going to grab my snipping tool. I'm just going to take a quick snip of this picture. And normally I would just do save this to my desktop so that I can drag and drop this into Google Images, and then I'll just delete it right after. Now, because my screen capture tends to stop every time I click off my internet browser, I'm just going to pretend I've already done that, and I'm going to pretend that I've already literally drug that picture into my Google Images toolbar. So all you're going to do with your mouse is drag that image over to Google Images into this little area where it says, where you see the flashing cursor there, and then it'll automatically start the search. So this is a perfect example of why I like Google Images, because right away what happened was it brought up the name of this artist, Christian Schlow, and I can go to her website. Here's her Facebook page. Right away I can see some other images that she's created, and I know for sure that this is an artist whose work is copyrighted. She's a living artist. She's working. So because copyright attaches at the moment a piece of art is created, this piece of art is under copyright, and this listing that doesn't list either the correct name of the painting or the artist is most likely illegally produced or unlicensed. So I'm definitely not going to buy that image. If I did want to diamond paint this image, one thing I could do is use the information that I find here to contact Christian Schlow and see if I can purchase a digital copy of this that I could create a custom diamond painting with. And if the artist says no, we just have to respect that and not use that piece of art. So here's an example of another canvas that I see all the time. Now, you guys, if you have done either of these canvases, I'm not trying to call anybody out. I promise I've not monitored anybody to see what they're posting or any of that. I have purchased my own fair share of these canvases off of Ali before I knew any of this. So this is not a call out to anybody, but I just see this canvas a lot and thought I wanted to know a little more about it. So I did the same thing here. I just grabbed my snipping tool, did a new snip, took a little screenshot of that guy, saved him on my desktop, and like I said, I'll delete it right after we do this little exercise here. And then I drug it into my Google Images. I just pulled it right into that search bar. And then this is what came up. So, possible related search, Fairy Lights by Johanna Tarkala. Now, I can look at all the things that Johanna has for sale on Society6. If I keep scrolling through here, I might be able to find her website, but another thing I can do is just open a new tab and search Johanna Tarkala artist, and usually that'll pull up her website if she has one. I can read her copyright policy information, and usually I could also contact her to see if it's possible for me to purchase a digital copy of this for a custom. Now, if you're going to do that, be really careful about where you send that custom to be printed. You want to make sure that the company you send it to isn't going to bootleg that image you send them and then use it to produce more illegal copies of that image. So I tend to stick with sellers like Treasure Studios Art, sellers like that I know are going to be treating this image with respect and not just using this for their own gain. So here again is a listing that is fully under copyright. They're just calling it Canvas Wall Art Fox with Lights. There's no artist accreditation. I know that this is not a canvas that I should purchase. Now this is really tricky because after you've done some of these searches, you're going to find out real fast that 99% of the images you're searching on AliExpress are going to have this exact same result. And that's why, to be honest, you guys, I just don't bother shopping there anymore. The canvases are inexpensive, but they're inexpensive because that third-party seller is not paying the artist for their work. So they're basically downloading a copy online and producing this without the artist's permission. 99% of the time, because Ali sellers just don't license, in my experience. Okay, so that's the basic procedure that you're looking for when you're reverse image searching. The thing you're looking to find out is who is the artist and what year was this piece produced. Now, if it's less than 100 years old, it doesn't matter when it's produced because it's under copyright. If you can't find the name of that artist anywhere in the listing, anywhere in your search results, that piece is still under copyright from the person who originally created it, whether or not we can find that information. So it's important to know what you're looking at, who the artist is, what date it was created. It's actually pretty easy to find out in my experience. It's much harder, I think, to find information about pieces that are right around 100 years old and you're not positive if that image is under copyright or not. There's a piece I would really, really love to do by Frank Cadogan Cowper, and I'll stick a picture of it in here. Maybe I'll just pull it up here for you real fast, if I can swing it. All right, it took me a second, but I found it. I think it's actually much harder to determine copyright for pieces like the one I'm going to show you here. So this is a piece by Frank Cadogan Cowper. He was born in 1877, but he didn't die until 1958. He was British, so British copyright law applies to this image, I believe. And this beautiful image called Vanity is one I would love to do. Even though it's created in 1907, it is still under copyright to the estate of Frank Cadogan Cowper. So that is where this can get a little bit tricky in my experience. If you're looking at images like the two we looked at a minute ago, where you can be absolutely certain that those are under copyright, you know exactly who to contact to get permissions, that's much easier than an image like this, where the estate is not the person has already died, but their estate owns that image. So that's, like I said, where things can get a little hairy. But I think this is why it's so important that we have a big variety of licensed artwork to choose from in the diamond painting world, so that we have attorneys and diamond painting companies who are doing all this research for us, so we don't have to worry about it. And that's why I always encourage people to shop at reputable diamond painting companies that license their images legally, because you just don't have to worry about any of this business. That's all I've got for you today. I hope you found this really informative. Like I said, it's not something I do in order to make people feel bad about the choices they've made, because I certainly have made some of those myself. It's purely to help you navigate this kind of tricky world. That's a very, very tricky thing that we're trying to work around. So I hope you found this useful and informative today. I'm not able to give any legal advice in the comments below. So if you have specific questions, I encourage you to talk to an attorney, like I said earlier. I'm happy to give what general information I know and feel comfortable sharing with you if you want to leave a question below. As always, spread some joy wherever you are today, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.